New season, new location, same great action. This is P1 SuperStock. Hello and welcome to the beautiful city of Aalborg here in Denmark. For the first time in P1 SuperStock history, we're bringing you racing from European waters. And this landmark event is kicking off the 4 rounds of the 2017 UK Championship. P1 SuperStock has seen plenty of racing over the years, covering the north, south, east and west of the UK to the sun-baked beaches of Florida and beyond. And most recently at the World Championships in Mumbai, India. But this is the first time that the race series has fought it out on Danish waters, and it's something that's got everyone here a little bit excited.
We were looking for something more action on the shore. You know, we had some sailboats, but that was getting bored, so we tried to get something new. And then I went to Cardiff to look at the P1 in Cardiff, and I was very excited. And we make a deal with them, and we're happy they're here now. We need some action. We need to show the people of Aalborg that things can happen on the fjord, and we like to set focus on the fjord.
This weekend will see the 9 teams battling out over a series of qualifying and heats, all fighting for a spot in either the Plate or Grand Prix final.
The sun's come out to greet us and the racers for a fantastic weekend of racing, and Powerbird P1's first opportunity to race in Europe, which is hugely exciting for us as a business and for all of the racers as well. We're going to be running a heat format for racing rather than having all of the boats together as we do in most of our venues. For many of the racers who've raced in places like Cardiff before, in Wales, we're going to run a very similar heat style format. So 5 boats out at a time. We're going to go out and do some qualifying laps, make sure that they try and get a really good spot for pole position, and then get out and make the most of the heats through the course of today, and then into essentially a semi-final and final tomorrow. So really looking forward to some great racing here in Aalborg.
So for some, this is familiar territory, and for others, it's going to be a bit of a quick and steep learning curve. But for defending champions Sam and Daisy Coleman in Potemps Network, it's just another day at the office. They're still riding high after lifting the Winners' Trophy in spectacular style at the inaugural World Championships in Mumbai, India, earlier this year.
Yeah, it was epic. Surreal, should I say. I came back thinking I was jet lagged, but I wasn't jet lagged so much as just having a massive adrenaline crash. Thousands of people. Because we did so well in the UK last year, obviously, it was nice to test ourselves against the best from elsewhere in the world. The best of the UK went over there, the best of America, and then we had internationals like Belgium, which are here with us now. So yeah, it was great.
And tell us about Denmark. We've just arrived here Saturday morning. A lot to look forward to. How are you both feeling ahead of this one?
Yeah, we're not as prepared as we usually are, but we're quite confident.
Yeah, we're a bit underprepared last minute stuff, especially with the boats coming back in containers from India. It sort of set all the prep back. So we feel a little bit underprepared, but I think we're good. We checked it over last weekend, it ran. That was the main thing, so we'll see how we go.
You're our first Belgian team racers in P1 SuperStock. Tell us how it came about that you're involved. How come you're here?
I raced in India. They asked me to join the Indian World Championship. Then they told me there's in Scotland P1 race together with water ski racing, because we are also in water ski racing. And they asked me maybe we can do both. I say, yeah, why not? And then they say, okay, you can do all the season maybe. So we signed in for the complete season.
I think these boats will be fun to drive, fun to handle. I haven't been on it, but I'm looking forward to test it. Really looking forward to it.
Dave, Ashley, great to see you here in Denmark. I understand normally you're racing something a little bit smaller than a P1 Panther.
Yes, we were usually in 4-metre inflatable catamarans, the Thundercat, so this is a big step up to us. But yeah, we've put a bit of time into the boat before we came here, just practicing time on the water, getting used to the handling of it. So yeah, we're excited for this weekend.
The P1 SuperStock Championship has been delivering high-octane action for a number of years now. And in all that time, the one consistent thing that has been key to the excitement is this, the P1 Panther race boat. And Neil and Jason of Experience Kissimmee kindly gave me a look around theirs earlier.
Basically, Kev, she's 28 feet long. We've got a stepped hull, which is a way of lifting the boat out of the water, giving more speed as a race hull. We've got a 250 horsepower even-root outboard engine on the back, and it runs at around about 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, there's two of us in the team. We both play our pivotal roles. Neil's steering and throttle. I'm telling him where to go. This is slightly different, this event, because we're running timed, so we just need to wear a stopwatch. I do watch the instruments. I've got trim, so I can tell Neil where the trim is. I've got fuel gauge, so I know how much fuel we're running, and I've got the all-important speedo, which tells us whether or not we're at front or back.
The communications are paramount. You can't be, what did you say? What did you say? Where are we going? Oh, stop. Oh, no. You know, it's mega important.
Well, it certainly is a great-looking boat, and it's all set for a great weekend's racing. Points from the off here today, then, with the fastest qualifying lap shootout, the first opportunity to lay down a marker. Let's head on out to the race course and take a look at it and see who was quickest out the blocks this morning with your race commentator, Dave Moore.
With the flat, calm conditions, speed should be the agenda when the craft take to this anti-clockwise circuit. The crews will also have to take a pit lap in each race. In the qualifying session, experienced Kissimmee would record the third quickest time. However, it was 4 seconds slower than the fastest. The Thames Network are the current P1 SuperStock champions, and their title defence began with the second best qualifying time. They were half a second slower than Platinum Products, who set the standard with a flying lap of 1 minute 50.15. Fourth fastest was Milford Waterfront, followed by Spirit of Inverclyde, Typhoon, Arthur J. Gallagher, Pickfords and South Street.
Well, congratulations to James and Charlie, former champions running in boat number 7, clocking that fastest time, but most importantly as well, gaining 20 valuable points. Join us after the break when all the heat action gets underway. Welcome back to Aalborg, Denmark for round 1 of the 2017 P1 SuperStock Championship. This weekend the racing takes place as part of the city's annual regatta, with attractions both on and off the water and plenty to see and do for all the family. Well, after that opening bout of qualifying, it's 2 championship teams who are top of the timesheets. James and Charlie in boat number 7, Platinum Products, are top of the list, but just a second behind them are defending champions Sam and Daisy and P1 Network. From here, it's all about the heats in a round-robin format, trying to build as many points as you can on your way to that Grand Prix final for the top 6 boats, and of course the plate final for the best of the rest. Let's see how they all do as we head on out to the start line for the first of those heats with Dave Moore.
Ever since it was announced the P1 SuperStock Championship was coming here to the city of Aalborg, they've been counting down to today, and now everyone gathered is about to see the Panthers go head-to-head on Danish water for the first time. So, here we go, yet another historic moment in the history of P1 racing as the first heat gets underway. The water, as expected, is calm, but the surface is now being ripped up by these powerful craft. It's Platinum Products who look to be off to a flyer. The view from Arthur J. Gallagher as they look to push ahead of Platinum Products. It's those two who've made the best start, but Platinum Products have the advantage of the inside line into the first turn. In fact, they're pulling ahead already, so they have their Panther working perfectly. They're all fighting for a place in the grand final. Those who don't qualify will go into the plate final, where there won't be as many championship points available. James Norville and Charlie Parsons-Young, not only hugely experienced P1 campaigners, they're also arguably the most successful crew on the water this weekend. Meanwhile, Arthur J. Gallagher are dropping back to the third place crew, who are galloping up towards them. Dave Taft and Andy Cousins may well have been thinking about first place, but now they have to defend second if they can. This is just the start Norval and Parsons Young were seeking, and they're showing how much teamwork is involved in P1. Speed is important, but so too cooperation. Charlie Parsons Young relaying information to James Norval as to what is going on behind. We're riding with the Finlaysons of Spirit of Inverclyde. They're battling for fourth place. This is David and Ashley's first time in P1, so they really are a rookie crew in terms of racing Panthers. They're tucked in behind Arthur J. Gallagher, and they have experienced Kissimmee to their left. These are somewhat confined waters compared to the big open spaces they would normally race on in this series. After this weekend, they have championship rounds in Scotland, Wales and England, with the campaign ending in Scarborough in September, where conditions could be very, very different to what we're witnessing today. So it's a championship which offers variety in terms of the types of water they will compete on this year. Experienced Kissimmee have pushed themselves into second place, with Arthur J. Gallagher in third and Spirit of Inverclyde fourth. Just out of the picture at present is South Street. They're another rookie crew. And here come the Belgians. Frederic Bastin, who's already raced P1 in India, is at the controls, with Bubby Bertels alongside. Arthur J. Gallagher in the wake of Platinum Products as they approach the next turn. Experienced Kissimmee just coming into the picture and in pursuit of the race leaders. So the pit laps continue to juggle things up, and it's Arthur J. Gallagher who are now alongside Platinum Products, with Experienced Kissimmee just tucked in behind. So right now, it's a three-way tussle out front, but that could change again soon. That is how tight things are right now. Could it be any closer? Platinum Products set the fastest lap in qualifying. James Norval and Charlie Parsons Young taking the long way around, trying to keep their speed higher than their rivals, and it could be paying off. Experienced Kissimmee could be the ones to watch in third as they're being drawn in closer towards Arthur J. Gallagher. They're closing right in on their rivals and moving past them to go into second position. Well, what an introduction to the P1 SuperStock Championship this has been for the Danes. Charlie Parsons Young keeping an eye on Experienced Kissimmee, while Arthur J. Gallagher take in their pit lap. The first P1 SuperStock Championship checkered flag is out and waiting to greet Platinum Products, who win the opening heat here in Aalborg. They were the quickest in qualifying and fastest in their heat, and will take some beating today if they can continue this sort of form. They've really put their marker down. The rest of their rivals will have taken note. So this is how the opening heat in Denmark concludes. Platinum Products began as favourite and have shown why they look like being the crew to beat.
Ashley, Dave, your first taste of racing, how was it out there in Heat 1?
Well, we're buzzing. So we were fourth on the grid there, and we got a bit sandwiched up at the turn 3, it got a bit tight.
The boat in front of us, semi-hooked a
So,
buoy, so they had to come back in. So it was certainly a nice start introduction.
Well, excitement from the off here in Denmark. A familiar battle between James and Charlie in boat number 7, former SuperStock champions running against boat number 926, Jason and Neil there in Experienced Kissimmee. Let's head on out to the start for the next one. It's Heat 2 with your race commentator, Dave Moore.
Attempts Network will be the ones to watch. They are the current champions, of course. Plus, they were second fastest in qualifying. They have the inside line into the first turn as they power past the spectators. They have a crew to their right in the shape of Milford Waterfront, who have Pickfords for company. And they've both pulled away quickly from the green flag, which is encouraging to see. They have the title holders in Sam and Daisy Coleman to learn from. Taifu just off the pace of the front three, but a very encouraging start for Milford Waterfront. Pickford's is in the hands of Glyn and Lee Norval. Their father Doug was also a powerboat racer, so racing on water very much a part of family life. They look to be in third right now, very much tussling with Milford Waterfront and seeking to snatch second place from them. Crossing over their wash and drawing on their previous experience of P1 racing. Kevin Hunt and Carl Turner aren't strangers to P1 SuperStock either. I recall them struggling in the confined spaces of Cardiff Bay last year, and it may be a similar story for them in Aalborg. Right now they're in fourth and in the wash of the three crews in front. Oh, how close do you want it? It looked as if Pickfords were drawn in toward Milford Waterfront, but the camera angle can be deceptive. Yes, folks, P1 SuperStock is back. So Pickfords move ahead of Milford Waterfront. Sam and Daisy Coleman picking up where they left off. The defending champions on the attack and seemingly cruising to victory in their opening heat. So they lead with Pickfords in second, Milford Waterfront third and Taifu in fourth. I would suggest there may still be a question mark over second, which the pit laps could play a part in. Back with Kevin Hunt and Carl Turner, communicating with each other all the time. Pertemps Network proudly displaying the big fat number 1 on the front of their Panther. They captured the title at a dramatic final round of the season. Sam and Daisy Coleman on their way to complete the lap. So far, so good for the champions. Milford Waterfront holds second, Pickfords are third. And that's who we ride with. Glyn and Lee Norval focused on the crew ahead. Taifu in fourth, not quite on the same pace as them. And here is Kevin Hunt and Carl Turner as they complete the lap. Back on board with Pickfords, while Pertemps Network take their long lap. They should just be visible in the distance soon. Each boat has to take in the pit lap, as it's known, at least once in the race. Sometimes a race can be won or lost, depending on when the lap is taken. Right now, Pertemps Network will slot in behind Pickfords, who are yet to take their lap. There they are, but they won't be panicking, having lost their lead, which should just be a temporary blip, considering the lead they've built. And we've switched from Pickfords to the view inside Pertemps Network as they ride the wake, and may try and use the momentum they're carrying to squeeze inside their rivals at the next turn, but they're not close enough and just have to hold off. Milford Waterfront are taking their pit lap. Now, have Andrew Foster and Charles Morris timed this right? If they have, then they should rejoin in second place. If they've got it wrong, then they will be in third. Pickford's still in the lead, but yet to take their lap. Both Pertemps Network and Milford Waterfront have done theirs. So having left it so late, is this a tactic that will pay off for Pickfords? They've had a run with clear water in front of them, which should have helped them carry plenty of speed. We're on board with Pertemps Network and looking at Pickfords as they go for their pit lap. So Sam and Daisy Coleman retake the lead of the race and should stay there. But has the gamble paid off for Pickfords? Will they emerge ahead of Milford Waterfront? We shall see. So here comes Pertemps Network to win the second heat of the day. There is the checkered flag. So Pertemps Network are back to winning ways. Once they took the lead, there really was no doubting their success, even when they trailed following their pit lap. Pickford's gamble didn't pay off as they end up in third, with Milford Waterfront in second, but it's Pertemps Network in the coveted #1 spot.
Well, the action is well and truly underway here in Denmark. Join us after the break for more of the same. Welcome back to Denmark, where the heat racing action continues here as part of the opening round of the P1 SuperStock Championship. Accumulative points are the name of the game this weekend, and the tight racecourse just on the waterfront over there really is bringing the action close to all the crowds and fans lining the front. So it's 2 heats done and 2 to go, and it seems that the waters here in Denmark are all about fast and flat racing. Let's head on out to the start and join your race commentator, Dave Moore.
It's the last chance saloon for some of the crew to force their way into the grand final later today. We expect Platinum Products to be there, fastest qualifier and Heat 1 winners, and looking to add Heat 3 to their tally as the green flag drops. They're already pulling ahead of experienced Kissimmee and Pickford's. These craft are all the same engines, etc. But if you can trim the Panther just right, it will give you an advantage. So approaching the first buoy, Platinum Products by a nose from Spirit of Inverclyde, who are on the outside of the pack. David and Ashley Finlayson will have learnt a lot from their first heat. They may be squeezed out from their position as Platinum Products once again show them how it's done. They're already a couple of boat lengths ahead of the pack. Business as usual for James Norville and Charlie Parsons-Young. They've been both the UK and USA P1 SuperStock champions. The Finlaysons are no strangers to racing, but this is their first competitive P1 SuperStock weekend. They may just have to be patient and play this one just right. Charlie Parsons-Young checking out what's going on behind, relaying the information to James Norville, who's in control of the boat. Experienced Kissimmee on a charge, but they may just lose momentum now as they come out of the wake. It's a safe bet that Platinum Products will be in the grand final later, barring any mishaps. Yet these Panthers are very reliable. Back to a replay of the start and hitching a ride with Pickfords. That's Glyn and Lee Norville as they pull away from Kevin Hunt and Carl Turner of Typhoo. On the outside is Spirit of Inverclyde, which incidentally is where the second round of this championship takes place. So there will be plenty of support for them when they get to Greenock in Scotland in a few weeks' time. They're starting to spread out, but there are pit laps to factor in as well. Platinum Products continue to lead the way. It looks like a place in the plate final for Typhoo, unless they can push themselves ahead of the craft in front of them. Neil and Jason Jackson refusing to let go of Platinum Products and keeping it tight as they approach the next buoy. This is a stronger showing so far from the Jacksons compared to their first heat performance. They have Platinum Products right in their sights. Now watch the craft as they rip across the surface. They need to be as flat as they can to propel themselves faster over the water. Every time their nose goes up, it's costing them time. Experienced Kissimmee may try a wider approach into the turn as they look to keep their speed high past the buoy. They'll have to cross over the wake of Platinum Products, but in these calm waters, that's not too big an issue. They also have Pickford's right behind them to think about as well, and they have to be mindful not to lose second place as they try to bid for first. Glyn and Lee Norville both took part in the first P1 SuperStock event in India, which was held a few months ago. Before this weekend, David Finlayson's only P1 SuperStock experience was as a navigator in last year's Scottish Grand Prix of the Sea in Greenock. They find themselves trailing at this point in time. Race leaders, Platinum Products, with just over a lap to go, and they will see the white flag being displayed, letting them know there is one more circuit left. It looks like second place for experienced Kissimmee. James Norville and Charlie Parsons-Young didn't take part in last year's championship, but they've slotted right back into this series with ease. This is the second season for Kevin Hunt and Cole Turner as a pairing, after they first teamed up for last year's campaign. It's the second year of P1 SuperStock Racing 2 for brothers Neil and Jason Jackson. It will be a second checkered flag of the day for Platinum Products. They are in superb form and will take some beating in the grand final. However, they've not been up against every crew so far today. It was a valiant effort by experienced Kissimmee, but having started well, couldn't quite stay the pace of the winner. And Pickford's will be in a strong third. Fourth place goes to Taifu, with Spirit of Inverclyde fifth. There's still one more heat to go to decide who will go in each final later today.
Yeah, we took a year off. It's only 1 year we've missed the UK. Busy year last year, couple of projects on the go. Racing in the US, we won the series, which was very nice, so we're back to do the double again.
So after the first three heats, it looks like it's the usual suspects who are running at the front and taking the lion's share of the points. Let's head on out to the start line for Heat 4 with your race commentator, Dave Moore.
The final heat before the two big finals, and P1 Network looking to make it 2 wins out of 2. This is on board with Sam and Daisy Coleman. Just to the right and slightly ahead is Arthur J. Gallagher. They're off to a good start, so too on Milford Waterfront. Not such a good one for South Street. P1 Network in third and seemingly holding off as they're drawn towards Arthur J. Gallagher. It's game on, as no one would have been expecting this. And now P1 Network looking for a gap between the two as they scream across the water. Milford Waterfront will peel off first, and P1 Network should slide into second as they have the inside line on Arthur J. Gallagher. Andrew Foster and Charles Morris will be delighted to find themselves leading. The question is, can they hold on to their position? They have P1 Network right on their tail and looking very menacing now they're up to speed. Arthur J. Gallagher have just dropped off a little. So there's their target as Sam and Daisy Coleman swing to the inside and will look to push past if they can. It's going to be tight, very tight. Will they back off? No is the answer. It's the smallest of gaps, but they have held their nerve, and this may just be coming to them now. They are side by side, no quarter asked, no quarter given. It's tight, very tight. This is where the navigators are crucial. With the Panthers so close to one another, it's vital they're kept apart. It looks like P1 Network may have pushed themselves ahead, and I think they have. The Panthers hit speeds of around 70 miles an hour when they're flat out, which is what they're approaching now. P1 Network have just edged ahead. Meanwhile, there's a battle going on for third place, and after their excellent start, Arthur J. Gallagher have now dropped back into the clutches of South Street. Dave Taft and Andy Cousins with the cheeky hand gesture to his rivals, keeping a close eye on one another. P1 Network are certainly leading, and Daisy Coleman, and we've seen this a lot from her in the past, pushing herself out of the seat to see what's happening. Milford Waterfront will have learned from having lost the lead from a position in which they had the inside line advantage. This is just after the start with Arthur J. Gallagher off to a flyer, but coming up is the moment when P1 Network were perhaps a bit too close for comfort as they avoid going into the back of Milford Waterfront. They swing their nose across, and then have to back off. It's hard to tell whether Arthur J. Gallagher were forced across, but there are rules in place to avoid crews pushing each other out of the way. Approaching the next turn, and Milford Waterfront appear to swing out, which may be an attempt to carry maximum speed around the buoy, or even cut inside Pertemps Network if they can. However, I don't think they're close enough to force a pass, but they may close the gap between them. It would be a great achievement if they could, as Pertemps Network are very tough cookies to beat. Riding with Milford Waterfront, they took second in their earlier heat, and a repeat performance does appear to be on the cards this time. Pertemps Network have a lead, which means really they will not be caught. The checkered flag is just ahead of and waiting to greet Pertemps Network. It's another victory for Pertemps Network. Some fantastic racing from Sam and Daisy Coleman, who had to fight for the win following not the best of starts, but they powered their way to the front, and once they were up into first place, there was no catching them. This, of course, sets it up for a massive showdown later between them and Platinum Products in the grand final. That should be a belter. Third for Arthur J. Gallagher with South Street in fourth. Milford Waterfront claims second behind Pertemps Network.
It's been a great day. Going into qualifying, I wasn't happy with my lap really. I was happy we were up there, but I knew there was a couple of areas I could improve on, and to be within half a second of them, the fast guys, was pretty good. And since then we've had two cracking heats, so yeah, we're looking good. We'll give them a bit of fight tomorrow.
In the second heat we got some decent time up, so look out James and Charlie tomorrow.
So that's it. The heats are over and we now know the start order for that plate and Grand Prix final. Join us after the break when we come back and we'll find out who's going to be crowned champions here in Denmark. Welcome back for the final time to the waterfront here in Aalborg, Denmark. The 2017 P1 SuperStock Championship is well underway, and after qualifying and 4 super exciting heats, we now have our lineups for that plate and Grand Prix final. Kev, good to see you here once again, and in the plate final. Didn't make the Grand Final, but you're in the mix in the plate final.
Yeah, I know. We had a fairly good qualifying round in front of a couple of friends of mine, which we enjoyed. Yeah, I'm happy with the engine. I'm happy with the gearbox. Everything else is running fine.
And lastly, just a quick word about these heat races in a smaller course. You know what this is all about.
Yeah, I like this. If you ask me which was your favourite way of racing, this is my favourite way of racing. It's better because you can get closer to the boats, and it's just more fun. It really is.
So the plate final is up first, and the winner of that will get stepped up into that Grand Final as a wild card entry, meaning that it is all to play for right up until the last. And we really should see some go big or go home racing from those teams that want it most. So without further ado, let's head on out to the start and join your race commentator, Dave Moore.
This is what it's all been about. The qualifying, the heats, to see who contests which final. That has to be Andy Cousins with his arms in the air. It's slightly overcast today, but the water is again flat calm. Once everyone is positioned, the yellow flag will be lowered and the green one raised. They'll be racing again. I would say we're looking good to go. It's eyes, all eyes on the yellow flag. No one dare blink. There it is. Go, go, go. It's all systems go. As the plate final bursts into life, on board Arthur J. Gallagher, who looked to have made the worst start of all as Pickford's Typhoon and South Street power away. The winner of this will have a chance to earn more points as they will be able to contest the grand final as well. At present, that crew is Pickford's, but with still some distance to go. We're on board with the Belgians, who have it all to do coming in from the outside lane. Typhoon are third, but could find themselves second if they hold their line. And In fact, they are pushing inside further. Arthur J. Gallagher just not able to stay with the pace of the crews, just ahead of them. Pickford's leading the pack. Glyn and Lee Norval will be delighted with their starts, but they have some quick teams right on their tail. They have clear water up ahead of them, which is what every powerboat crew desires. This is not what any boat wants to see, the wash of 3 powerboats to ride across the top of. The rookie crew of Bastin and Bertels of South Street will have learnt a lot this weekend. This is Dave Taft's 4th P1 SuperStock campaign and reunited once more with Andy Cousins. Pickford's continue to blaze a trail out front. This is South Street with a wide line around the turn. Let's recap. It's Pickford's who lead, Taifu in second, Arthur J. Gallagher third, and South Street back in 4th. Riding with Dave Taft and Andy Cousins of Arthur J. Gallagher as they try to hunt down the crew of Taifu. Cole Turner very aware of the presence of the boats around them as he passes on information to Kevin Hunt. They're also looking to regain a position if they can. And they go tight in a bid to squeeze inside. And oh, they go too tight and into a spin. That has cost them. The engine's still going so they can rejoin. So a bit of breathing space for Pickfords as there is a good-sized gap back to the next Panther. And that's who we are on board with. Arthur J. Gallagher holds second place, but a long way behind the race leaders, and they're yet to take their pit lap. South Street 2 have been pushed up a position, but they will be very aware that Taifu will be trying their utmost to reclaim the position they've lost, so they could well have a fight on their hands to the flag. It's looking increasingly like Pickford's will be the wildcard entry for the grand final. Here they are, race winners in the plate final. A super display from the brothers. They never cracked. They never felt the pressure like their rivals. They held their nerve, so they go through to the grand final, and that's an opportunity to score even more points. This is how they finish, with Arthur J. Gallagher 4th, Taifu 3rd, South Street 2nd, and Pickford's on top.
We had a dismal qualifying, but we've managed to do a few things and pull through and push really hard to get to where we are now.
But it was still keeping tabs on who was going where and positions, how far they were behind us, because we wanted to make sure we come out of the pit lap, leave the pit lap as long as possible, so that we had enough time to go and do our pit lap and come back into clean water again. So pretty crucial.
So super close start there in that plate final, but in the finish it was Lee and Glyn in Pickfords who have now booked themselves a place in that grand final.
At last, the big guns go head-to-head. James Norville and Charlie Parsons-Young of Platinum Products against Sam and Daisy Coleman of Pertemps Network. The champions of 2014 against the champions of 2016. They both won their 2 heats, so neither has been beaten so far this season as they make their way onto the start. They're not the only outfits competing, of course, and they will all be out to show what they're capable of. We're moments away then. Visor down, and then power down for the best possible start. Daisy Coleman on her toes again and ready to let her brother Sam know when it's time to go, and there it is. The grand final is underway, and the biggest field of the weekend with 6 Panthers on the water. 1 and 7 have to be the numbers to watch out for. They have the advantage of the inside line to the first buoy. Milford Waterfront is showing strongly, so too experienced Kissimmee. If Pertemps Network have their nose in front by the first turn, they will have the advantage, of course, but they know Platinum Products will be tough to pass should they get there first. That is what is appearing to be happening. Milford Waterfront also looking to become involved. It's going to plan for James Norville and Charlie Parsons-Young. This is their sternest test of the season so far. It should also show where they are exactly in terms of the competition, having missed last year's UK campaign. And you have to say, business as usual. They had some misfortune in 2015 when they lost their British crown. They have the current champions on their tail, and that's who we ride with, Sam and Daisy Coleman of P1 Network. They will not want to see their rivals pull away. Charlie Parsons-Young keeping an eye on the Colemans, and James Norville with a glance over his shoulder. Platinum Products with a 3 to 4 boat length advantage out front, and there's a cracking battle for third taking place too. The P1 Network will hope the pit laps work to their advantage, but right now they're just focusing on closing that gap. They're taking it tight into the turn, which means more risk of a spin. Platinum Products with a wider approach, which helps maintain their momentum. The P1 Network bouncing their nose more than they'd want to. It can't be helped though when you are riding on someone else's wash. They now ride across the top and will look to point it in hard around the turn and exit the buoy with as much speed as possible. The quick glances behind show they're more focused on what's happening in front rather than behind them. 2 wins and a second is a great start to any season, but they want the hat-trick, which is what their rivals are on course to achieve. Again, they go tighter than the race leaders who adopt a wider approach. The Colemans are hoping they can push further inside, but again it comes with added risk. However, they do look closer than they have been for a while. Into view comes Spirit of Inverclyde. They come from Musselburgh, a historic town near Edinburgh in Scotland. They are father and daughter and have raced together for a number of years, but this is their first weekend in P1 SuperStock, and they will be delighted having made the grand final at the first attempt. Platinum Products continue to pull away from P1 Network. This, of course, could be a huge psychological boost for Platinum Products in what looks like their forthcoming championship battle with P1 Network. However, Sam and Daisy Coleman have made no secret of their love for rougher conditions, and they will be confident should there be any considerable swell during any races for the rest of the season. Both are yet to take their pit lap, and that could change everything, of course. Platinum Products are taking their pit lap, so that will push P1 Network into top spot. When they rejoin the course shortly, they will see their rivals ahead. Now, the Colemans will have some clear water to race upon. So P1 Network push on, and they'll be hoping that when they emerge from their pit lap, they will be ahead of Platinum Products. It can be a gamble, knowing when is the right time to take it. Experienced Kissimmee look as if they will take a good haul of points with them into the next round in Scotland. They will be quite satisfied with their weekend here in Denmark. Not only did Sam and Daisy Coleman take the British title last year, they won all 3 of their races in India recently to be crowned world champions. So P1 Network lead, but will they still be out front when they take their pit lap? They look as if they are heading that way now. That is Platinum Products, and they look as if they will retake the lead as P1 Network go onto their pit lap. So there could be big smiles for James Norville and Charlie Parsons-Young right now. However, they will be totally focused on the job in hand. So heartbreak for P1 Network when they come back onto the course to see their rivals ahead. This is the view from their Panther, and with time running out, that is too big a gap to close. Pickfords look as if they may take 5th position. It would take a mistake by Platinum Products to allow P1 Network to secure the win, but that would be very uncharacteristic of James Norville and Charlie Parsons-Young. There it is, the checkered flag for the 3rd time this weekend for Platinum Products. Delight for the Welsh team in Denmark. Once they had their noses in front, there was no catching them. And they are well and truly back in the P1 SuperStock Championship following their year in the USA. They put the marker down for everyone else. This is how the grand final finishes, with Milford Waterfront the best of the rest in third, ahead of Experienced Kissimmee, Pickfords and Spirit of Inverclyde.
Yeah, really good weekend. Very pleased. Having pole in the last race, which we got obviously through qualifying, made the world of difference. I think if we were in second or third, it would have been a struggle. That turn 4, I think, really makes a difference having pole. I was able to push the other boats out a little bit wider and make their life hard to start.
We lost it on the start, really. I think we held them off the start, but because they had the pole in the inside line, we had to go the long way round, and that was it.
This is the championship picture going into the next round in Scotland, and maximum points for Platinum Products, but for Temps Network very close behind.
Hold tight, right.
Wow, huge congratulations to all the guys there on the podium. Former champions in second and first. Big up to James and Charlie. Their first time back in the UK for a while as well. From all of us here in Denmark, until we join you in Greenock next time, see ya.